Okay, I want to finish up just a couple more things talking about depression. All this regards the tragic news about Robin Williams last week. We said yesterday that there are non-nutritional ways of addressing depression, becoming aware of the voice in the head, noticing self-absorption. Depression is like the price we pay for being self-absorbed, and it's not being judgmental here. You don't want to beat yourself up about being self-absorbed. Just be aware of it and be aware of the price we pay for self-absorption. And one of the prices we pay for thinking of ourselves or concentrating only on ourselves is depression. Being of service, thinking about somebody else, at least placing attention on other people, is really an important strategy for helping alleviate depression. And in fact, you can alleviate depression almost immediately if you think about somebody else. They can't be depressed if you're thinking about somebody else. It's the antithesis of depression, which in a way is the ultimate self-absorption, the ultimate manifestation of self-absorption. And then finally, finding the anger underneath depression. Depression is a type of anger, but it's turned inward. It's a disguised form of anger. And if you go one level down from depression, if you dive underneath the superficial nature of depression, you'll find anger. Typically anger directed at self. Sometimes anger directed at experiences or situations. Sometimes anger directed at God. And then underneath the anger, you're going to find fear. Behind anger, there's always fear. And behind depression, there's always anger. So coming back or diving underneath depression and finding where the fear is a very important strategy. And then coming back to the present. Fear is always about the future. Thus, it's imaginary. There's no future, really. It's all a mental idea. And fear is always about the future. So fear too is a mental idea, and fear is also imaginary. The idea of fear being of the future is really underappreciated. The fact that fear is in the future, it's about an imaginary future that doesn't exist. Number one, that means that fear is not real. It's just pretend. And number two, it means that it implies anyway that there's a way to get out of fear by simply placing attention on the future. Once we understand that the future-based nature or the future-based aspect of fear, ultimately it will reveal the clue for depression relief, which is to take ourselves out of the future and put ourselves back in the present. In the present, there's no fear. In the present, there's no depression. In the present, everything's perfect. A simple way to, if you want to check this out for yourself, a simple way to return to the present is to focus on the most present aspect of our lives, which is our bodies, our livingness. The most present aspect to our livingness is the human body. That's why focusing on the breathing is so important. Depression is associated with a type of brain wave, electrical energy that comes out of the brain that's called a beta wave. Brain waves are measured in speeds, I guess you could say, frequencies, how many times a minute they come out, and you have different frequencies of brain waves. You have beta brain waves, which are a certain frequency, something like, I think like 12 cycles per second, somewhere in that order. And then you have slower brain waves that are coming out at maybe 6 or 7 cycles per second. That's how they measure the frequencies of these things. And beta brainwaves, fast brainwaves, or reasonably fast brainwaves, are associated with depression. By slowing brainwaves down, you can actually activate the relaxation nervous system and get yourself out of depression. This is an amazingly important and easy to utilize strategy that you can do on your couch, that you don't need a doctor for. I love strategies that you don't need to interface with the medical model for, and you can find many of these health strategies that don't involve doctors and don't involve drugs and don't involve surgeries and insurance companies and the medical model at all. And one of these wonderful strategies is slowing down your brainwaves, going from the beta brainwave state, which is really fast brainwaves, to a slower brainwave state, alpha brainwaves, or even theta brainwaves. Those are the very slow brainwave states. They say, well, how do I do that? How do I slow down my brainwaves? Simple. There's lots of ways to do it. Breathing is one of the best ways, or at least slowing your breathing process down. Brainwaves are intimately linked to the rate of breathing. The faster you breathe, the faster your brainwaves will be. And the slower you breathe, likewise, the slower your brainwaves will be. So, simply by slowing your brainwaves down, even just focusing on by slowing your breathing down, even just focusing on your breathing can activate the parasympathetic nervous system and alpha brainwaves. Just noticing your breathing, the breathing going in and out. I guarantee you, if you sit on the couch and don't even try to manipulate your breath, just watch it. Just pay attention to the breath. You'll notice that your brainwaves are slowing down. You're going from a beta state, beta brainwave state, a fast brainwave state, to a slower brainwave state. Just by paying attention, not even manipulating your breathing, just watching your breathing. And you know what? You could do it with any bodily function. In fact, just focusing on the body. You know, most of us go through our lives in our head, mentally, thinking. How many of you guys out there who are not experiencing the kind of good health that you deserve, or the kind of good health that you want, or the kind of good health that you know you have the potential to have? How many of you guys have thinking disease, are thinking? And I'm guilty of it myself. Usually smart people are thinking a lot. Usually really, really smart people are thinking really, really a lot. But this can cost us health. This saturation of our lives, or this immersion of our lives in the mental aspect can wreak havoc on our health. So just by focusing on on a bodily function, just by focusing on the body itself, we can return to an alpha brainwave state. We can return, or we can activate the parasympathetic nervous system, the relaxation nervous system, and we can return, or we can return to good mental health away from depression. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben. We'll continue this and get to some nutritional strategies for depression when we come back from our break. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side. We'll be back after this. We're back on The Bright Side. I'm Pharmacist Ben and got lines open for you. If you've tried to call in before and gotten a busy signal, now's your chance. 855-660-4261. We'll get to calls here in our next segment. I just want to finish up a couple of things. I thought we'd get to connective tissue. I got a bunch of letters here from folks dealing with lupus and scleroderma, both of which are autoimmune diseases that affect connective tissue. It doesn't really matter what the cause of connective tissue breakdown is, as much as the fact that there is connective tissue breakdown. But nonetheless, I'm going to address lupus and scleroderma here when we talk about connective tissue. So if you've written me about these two autoimmune connective tissue issues, we will be covering that. Probably touch on it a little bit, hopefully today, but we'll definitely dive back into it tomorrow. We'll talk about estrogen, female hormone, as well as a very interesting hormone that's involved in a lot of things, and something we've just discovered maybe in the last 20 years that has a huge role to play in good health, heart health, blood vessel health, antihypertensive. It's an antihypertensive hormone. It's great for the male, for all sexual performance, but especially for male sexual energy. And then also this very interesting hormone. We'll actually talk a little bit about hormones and what they do and how they work when we talk about this stuff. It comes right from arginine, our amino acid of the week, of the month. The last couple of weeks or last month or so, we've been talking about arginine. Anyway, we'll do all that tomorrow, and we'll even talk about the antidepressant effects of arginine a little bit too. But I just want to just finish this up, and we'll definitely finish this up today, and then we'll get to connective tissue issues here tomorrow, for sure. Okay, so focusing on a body part, focusing on a body function is a great way to return yourself back to the present by placing your attention on your breathing, by placing your attention on your heartbeat or on your pulse. Immediately you'll return to the present. Immediately you'll lower your brainwave state. Immediately you'll activate the parasympathetic, the rest and relaxation nervous system. You can use this if you have insomnia, which is a classic example of an activated stress response. If you have insomnia, focusing on your breathing, focusing on your heartbeat, focusing on your pulse, you will return to the present. The same is true if you just place attention on a body part, on your hands or your fingers or your toes or your feet or your earlobe or your nose or any part of your body. Just by focusing on a part of the body, you will activate the parasympathetic nervous system. You will lower your brainwave state. You will immediately go into alpha state from a beta brainwave state, a slower brainwave state, and you can help alleviate depression, at least while you're focusing on that body part. Now, for most of us, if we're depressed, we probably won't be able to hold our attention on that body part, but even if you do it for a second or two, that's a second or two of parasympathetic, of rest and relaxation nervous system activity. That's a second or two of a lowering of the body's stress hormones, a lowering of cortisol. That's a second or two of the activation of healing and anabolic, that is building chemistry. Even if you only do it for a second or two, even if you focus on your fingers or toes for a second or two, even if you focus on your breathing for a second or two, even if you focus on your heartbeat or your pulse for a second or two, and then you go back to being depressed for that second or two, you're going to be activating the relaxation, healing, building, anti-aging response. Here's another idea for you. At the last Youngevity convention in Anaheim, I met a guy, a Marine. His name was Mark. He was dealing with PTSD. Some of you out there are dealing with PTSD. I talk to you all the time. And Anyway, Mark was dealing with PTSD, and the Marine Corps had given him a dog. He was walking around with a dog as a pet dog in the hotel. He was the only guy with a dog. Nobody else had a dog. He was walking around with a dog, and the dog had this little sweater thing that they wear when they're service dogs. And Mark wasn't blind, and he wasn't limping around, so I was wondering what he was actually a big, strapping, healthy-looking guy. And he asked him about the dog and said, what was the dog for? And he told me that he had PTSD. The Marine Corps had given him this dog as a PTSD treatment, as a post-traumatic stress disorder treatment. And when Mark felt a panic attack coming on, or if he was feeling anxious, he would immediately pet his dog. And he would immediately feel better by petting his dog. Why? Well, petting his dog put him back in the present. Petting his dog took him away from his mental nature, from his thinking nature. Petting his dog took him away from the false evidence appearing real, from the future aspect of fear, and brought him back to the present. Petting his dog brought him back to the present, activated his alpha brainwave states, activated his parasympathetic nervous system, and he felt better. And this is why study after study after study show that people who have pets live longer. Over 60% of American households have pets, and we spend many, many billions of dollars on our pets. $30 or $40 billion a year we spend on our pets. And study after study shows that people who have pets, people who own cats, people who own dogs, have a lower, reduced risk of heart disease. They're less likely to suffer heart attacks. They have lower blood pressure. They have lower cholesterol and blood fats. They help us feel better. They help us deal with stress. All of these are benefits of having pets. Why? Because having a pet puts you back in the present. When you have a pet and you're petting a pet and you're taking care of a pet, or taking care of anybody really, it's this idea of taking attention away from ourselves and placing it externally. All of these are ways that we can manifest or activate the body's relaxation, antidepressant response. These are natural antidepressants. And you think you're going to see a commercial for having a pet? You think you're going to see a commercial on TV for returning to the present or focusing on your breathing to alleviate depression? No, you're going to see commercials for Prozac, and you're going to see commercials for Abilify, and nobody who's making the commercials, including the kindly man who's reading them or kindly lady who's reading them, gives a rat's you-know-what about your health or a rat's you-know-what about your family's health. There's not a single drug company on planet Earth that has a corporate board meeting where they talk about your health and the health of your family. There's not a single CEO of a drug company that loves you or your family. You got to take care of yourself. And by the way, this thing's getting worse. This obscene pharmacomedical model is not getting weaker. It's getting stronger as it becomes entrenched with government support, with Obamacare. Your doctor doesn't work for you, people. Your doctor works for Kaiser. Your doctor works for the hospital. He works for whoever is paying him. He doesn't work for you. Only people who are going to work for you or your family is you and your family. And this is why nutritional supplementation is so important. And this is why all of these ideas we talk about, from watching your fingers and toes to having a pet cat or dog to focusing on your breathing, are so, so important. They're things we can do for ourselves. They're things we can do for our family. They're things we can do all day. They're things that don't cost us any money. And they're powerfully effective. They're just as effective. They're more effective than any prescription drug. You don't get addicted to focusing on your body parts or on your breathing. And you don't have any toxic side effects either. All right. Medications, by the way, can also be a source of depression, especially statin drugs, beta-blocking drugs that suppress the heart, calcium channel blockers that suppress the heart, ACE inhibitors that shut down the kidneys. All prescription drugs are suppressant, and depression is an ultimate example of brain suppression, of mental suppression. And then from a nutritional standpoint, although, of course, depression should always be addressed emotionally and mentally, there's still lots of ways that we can support our mental and emotional health using nutrients. The B vitamins are your brain vitamins. They are key players in all mood disorders, especially niacin and thiamine and perhaps vitamin B12 as well. B1, B3, and B12, but they're all important. Sip on the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. It's one of the best natural antidepressants and natural sources of the B vitamins that you're going to find. Salt is also important, and electrolytes are important. Magnesium is important. Keeping your sugar down, very important. More protein, less calories. Not surprisingly, these are all basic ideas we talk about on the bright side when it comes to health. Okay, we're coming back with your phone calls. 855-660. 855-660-4261 is our number. We'll be back after this. Okay, we are back on the bright side. Got a line open for you at 855-660-4261. I'm going to try to get to all our calls today and just finish up real quickly on nutritional supplements for depression. B vitamins, number one. The entire B complex. Use your Beyond Tangy Tangerine sip on it. Maybe throw in a little extra niacin, 100 milligrams, 200 milligrams timed release is not a bad idea. Omega-3 fatty acids, EFAs in general, but especially omega-3 fatty acids can help. Use your ultimate EFAs. If you want to go herbal, ginkgo biloba, rhodiola, St. John's wort have antidepressant effects. Don't forget about good old vitamin C, inositol, and choline, which are B vitamin-like substances, can help you. And then also the electrolytes, especially potassium and also magnesium. Two very important electrolytes, but all your minerals are going to be helpful to one extent or another. Exercise, deep breathing, focusing on a body part. These are non-nutritional strategies. And then sometimes progesterone can help. Progesterone has antidepressant properties. It can balance out excess estrogen, which can be a pro-depressant hormone. And then if you want to go a couple extra things, sugar metabolizing nutrients like chromium and vanadium in the sweeties may be helpful. Certainly that's not comprehensive, but that'll give you a good start if you're depressed. And also, you know what, I'd like to hear from you guys. If you've conquered depression yourself, I'd love to hear how you did it. 855-660-4261 is our number. And then tomorrow we'll continue talking about connective tissue building and connective tissue diseases. Okay, let's hit our phones. Jeff in Minnesota, welcome to the bright side. What's up, buddy?
Hey, Ben, I just want to encourage others out there who are on the product or thinking about taking it. I've been taking Beyond Tangy Tangerine for about a year. In February, I started with the Healthy Blood Sugar Pack, and I had a yearly appointment yesterday with my general practitioner, and he looked at me and said, "Jeff, you look like you're getting younger."
No kidding. That's awesome.
And I thought, he said, you know, I have to tell you, you're looking good. You look like you're getting younger. And to me, that's encouraging because, you know, you don't see it yourself. And I'm just telling, you know, I was pretty sick, and things are going in the right direction. And
good deal.
Thank God for it.
Praise God. How did you hear about the BTT, the Beyond Tangy Tangerine?
I was listening to a program on GCN, and I thought, well, I'll just try it. And then somebody sent me a CD on Dead Doctors Don't Lie, and I threw that away, or threw it in the CD pile. And about 5 months later, I looked at it. I said, I better listen to this. And I thought, man, I should have listened to it 5 months earlier. You know, it was
awesome.
You know, it just really, and it's really, I just want to encourage others to stick with it. You know,
thank you so much.
It's not a fast fix. You know, some things you notice quick, and other things, you know, take longer. So, but it definitely makes a difference.
I appreciate that, Jeff. Thanks for sharing. You just helped a whole bunch of people. Thank you so much for doing that. Appreciate it. God bless. All right, I hear that all the time. I've been doing this 17 years. I should say I've been doing Youngevity now for 17 years. You have no idea how often I hear these kinds of comments and the letters I get, and that's why I do this. I mean, I couldn't live with myself. If I knew what I knew and didn't go out and tell everybody about the Beyond Tangy Tangerine and the Youngevity products and Dr. Wallach's message, I couldn't live with myself. I couldn't look at myself in the mirror. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that very much. Okay, let's go to Kay in Texas. Welcome to the bright side, Kay. What's up?
Hey, good morning, Ben, and I want to tell you you're a brilliant teacher. Thank you for all you do.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
I had a question. I got a little split in my knuckle yesterday.
A little what? I'm sorry, say that.
Split, like a little splint. Or maybe there was a splinter. I thought there was a splinter to start with, but when I kind of glanced at it this morning, looked around, I couldn't find anything. But what happened is it ballooned up. I had my whole arm ballooned up, and I had a red streak last night on the dorsum from the tendons. It looked like it going up, and then there was a little bit above the elbow. And I have a doctor's appointment at 11:15. What I wanted to do is I did soak it in clay last night.
Yeah.
And it was kind of really pink. It was silver in it, and it was really pink. You know, the flesh was afterwards. So, but it's still faint, and it's not a definite red line. It's just like about a half a centimeter wide or a centimeter apart. You know.
Wow. And it all started with just a split in the knuckle.
Yes.
Okay, you got some.
I worked in a nursing home MRSAs there. We got everything there.
You can have anything in there in a nursing home.
Everything.
Yeah, no, it could be anything. That might be a need. Antibiotics definitely have their place, and it sounds like that might be a case for an antibiotic. In the meantime, you want to start building your immune system up anyway, because you shouldn't have that kind of response. You must have some other stuff going on. Is there what other health? First of all, approximately, how old are you? Decades-wise?
I'm
40s?
65.
Oh, you're 65. Okay, so you got to have some other stuff going on. This is very important, Kay, and for the listeners. When you have a problem, sometimes you think it's the problem. Sometimes you think whatever you're dealing with immediately is the problem, but it could be something deeper underneath. Blood sugar, digestive system. I'm always looking to the digestive system first. If you can find any kind of digestive issues, that's going to be in your interest, whether it's constipation, diarrhea, bloating, gas, nausea, queasiness after foods, any of those.
Got me off all grains, dairy. I don't even do.
Okay. Do you have a history that way? Even if you were to eat grains, if you were to eat...
if I feel bad now if I eat grains or drink too much milk, like over a half a cup or something.
Okay, well, I'm looking at some digestive... That's where I'd be focusing. And then also on good bacteria. Get yourself on the Biolumin Nightly Essence, start eating fermented food, and then, of course, the Healthy Start Pack goes without saying. And then you may need an antibiotic in this particular case if your arm is ballooned up the way you describe it. You may need something...
it's better. The red streak is still there, but the clay did take it down.
That's awesome.
But the hand is very swollen.
I wouldn't mess around personally with it. I would check it out. That might be a call
for
an
antibiotic. I'm going to check it out. I just thought, I know you like vitamin C a lot, and
all those colloidal silver, colloidal silver too, vitamin C, the B complex, good living, the probiotics, all of that. But in this case, it may be something that you want to look at. Go to a doctor.
I'm going to. But I just want to. I don't want to end up in the hospital,
Let us know how you do, Kay. I'd like to hear how you're doing. Send an email.
What my work is? I'm a physical therapist at a nursing home.
No. Let me know how you're doing.
Okay, I will.
Send an email or something. Ben at KSCO.com. Thank you, Kay. Sometimes you need an antibiotic. Sometimes you need a doctor, but not for degenerative disease. This is the difference. Kay's dealing with an acute condition. That's when you need to have a medical intervention if there's an acute trauma or an infection. But that's not degeneration and degenerative disease. And this is a very important distinction that we need to make. The distinction between the body breaking down, at which point doctors are completely helpless, and acute infection or acute trauma where doctors and heroic medicine certainly has its place. Okay, Robert in Texas, what's going on? Welcome to the Bright Side.
Oh, I got dark rings around my eyes. I'm just wondering what's...
Lots you could do, Robert. Dark rings around the eyes are not a skin problem, and they're not an eye problem. They're a circulatory problem, and this is very common. In fact, you see commercials now on TV where people will try to sell you creams. There's a product called Hydrolyze. I call it Hydrolyze, as in lies, as in dishonest, where they tell you they rub your cream on and your dark circles go away. When you see dark circles under the eyes, you're seeing two things. Number one, you're seeing fluid that's leaking out from the circulatory system, from blood vessels that are located in lymphatic vessels that are located behind the eyes or underneath the skin that's under the eyes. And you're also seeing pigments that are in the blood that are leaking out. So what you got is leaky blood vessels, and that's secondary to or following a sluggishness in the circulatory system. Fluid leaks out of the vessels, and you see it under the eyes because the skin is very, very thin. It might be the thinnest skin in the entire body underneath the eyes, so you're actually getting a window into your blood vessels. Hang tight, Robert. I'll finish up when we come back from our break. If you're on hold, hang on. We'll get to you as soon as we come back on The Bright Side. I'm Pharmacist Ben. We'll be back after this. Okay, we're back on The Bright Side talking to Robert in Texas. Dark circles around the eyes. Always think about the circulatory system. Robert, this is so important because you're dealing with a very significant internal issue, not a cosmetic issue. It's not a superficial issue. It's not just an appearance issue. It's a circulatory issue that can ultimately lead to strokes and liver disease and heart attacks, etc. So this is a very serious shot across the bow. It's a red flag, and you want to really address this at its core, which is the circulatory system. Number one, you got to figure out what's making your blood sticky and what's making your heart work so hard. Usually that involves some kind of digestive issue. So if you got any food allergies or food intolerances, and by the way, kids who get bags under the eyes, same thing. Very often they'll have food allergies, dairy allergies, etc. when they get these bags under the eyes. The same is true about dark circles, which which are related to the sluggishness in the circulatory system. So make sure, number one, that you're looking for food intolerances, avoiding foods that cause problems, and then maybe using probiotics and digestive enzymes, the ultimate enzymes, and the biolumin nightly essence, and the Z-radical apple cider vinegar after all your meals, all that in the interest of keeping the toxins out of the blood and keeping the blood circulating as it should. The second thing you might want to think about is nutrients that are directly improved. I'm going to let you go here, Robert. We got some noise here in the background, so I'm just going to let you go. The second thing you want to think about is keeping the circulatory system moving with nutrition. The B vitamins and vitamin C and the ultimate essential fatty acids are going to be important in this regard. The ultimate EFAs, especially omega-3 fatty acids. I'd be using some magnesium for dark circles under the eyes as well. Don't forget about moving your body, especially getting on a rebounder or doing some kind of aerobic exercise. That will also improve circulatory system health. So, and also water can also help increase blood volume and may help improve circulation. And then actually one more thing, vitamin E has a very important pro-circulatory system effect. In fact, vitamin E is so important for keeping the blood circulating and keeping blood moving that doctors in their infinite non-wisdom will actually tell their patients to not take vitamin E if they're going to have a surgical procedure done, because vitamin E is so effective at thinning the blood and keeping the circulatory system moving. Doctors, not noted for their biochemical or nutritional intelligence, will usually tell their patients not to use vitamin E for a couple weeks before surgery. Never mind the fact that vitamin E improves tissue oxygenation and is a powerful anti-aging and antioxidant protective nutrient. The fact that it thins the blood and improves the circulatory system is considered to be a bad thing by the medical model. But it's considered to be a good thing by anybody who cares about health, especially the health of the circulatory system. Thanks for your call, Robert. Hope we helped you out. Let's move on to Thomas in California. What's going on, buddy? How you doing? Welcome to the bright side.
I'm doing great. Thank you very kindly. I got over my depression using lithium salt.
Ah, yes, good old lithium. I forgot about that one. That's great. What did you use, medical lithium or the nutritional lithium?
It's this thing by Hemp USA. It's called Brain Fuel, and it has elementary lithium salt and uric acid. And
very nice.
In the morning, I just put that in with the tangy tangerine. And
very nice. You know, I'm not depressed, but I use lithium every day. Lithium orotate, actually, the one you're taking, and I love it. And it's great for relaxing. It's got anti-anxiety properties. It is an antidepressant. Good job. It's great it's used as it's medication for bipolar disorder, actually.
Well, and also, see, I'm an alcoholic, so it's great for me because I don't go on binges. I can have like 3 glasses of wine and quit.
When you're on the lithium, that helps you, keeps you from binging.
I don't feel like drinking a whole bottle. I just
awesome. That is good.
Very good.
That's good advice. Thank you so much, Thomas.
See, I had a question, though.
Sure.
You were saying that, you're against suntan lotion, and you think it's good to be out in the sun, which I agree, but how about overexposure?
Well, yeah. Obviously, you don't want to burn, and you don't want to overexpose. Anytime something is stimulating, it's a dual-edged sword, and the sun is probably maybe the most stimulating aspect of our environment is the sun. So obviously you don't want to overstimulate, but that doesn't mean you don't want to stimulate. You see what I'm saying? People tell you, well, the sun is bad because you get too much sun, but that doesn't mean that you don't want to get any. And not to mention the fact that, and I'm telling you this as somebody who's been designing and formulating skincare products for 30 years now, 31 years, suntan lotions and suntan creams are nasty, nasty products. They're made with powerful chemicals, octamethoxycinnamide and octocrylene, etc. Now, if you use a sunblock chemical like zinc oxide, that's going to be a little bit better, but you're still dealing with preservatives, and you're dealing with fragrances, and you're dealing with fillers, and most skincare products are a witch's brew of all kinds of chemicals put together to create a cream or create a lotion. That's why with my new skincare line, which will be coming out here pretty soon, we don't use excipients and fillers and stuff that you don't need. Cosmetics business, the skincare business, is a predatory, nasty business. And I've been doing it now for 31 years, and I know how the sausage is made, you guys. And suntan lotion are just a classic example. They're the worst of both worlds. When it comes to drugs and cosmetics, they're the worst of both worlds. They're toxic drugs, and they're nasty skincare cosmetics filled with preservatives and parabens, etc., preservatives and fragrances, etc. So I'm not a big believer in any topical medications, but especially skincare, sun care products, which will deprive your body of the wonderful ultraviolet rays that stimulate serotonin, stimulate melatonin, stimulate vitamin D, and just make us feel better. Now, Thomas, your point is very well taken. You don't want to overexpose yourself, and you definitely don't want to burn, but that doesn't mean you don't want to get a little bit of sun. And by the way, while we're on the subject of depression, the sun is a wonderful antidepressant via the serotonin-melatonin connection. The sun hits your skin, and skin cells make these two powerful mood-enhancing hormones, serotonin and melatonin. Thanks for your call, Thomas. Anything else, bro?
Oh, no. I love your program. I listen to it almost every day.
Thank you so much, Thomas. Have a great day, bro. Be good.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Carol in Texas. What's going on? Welcome to the bright side. Carol? Carol?
Sheryl?
I'm sorry, Sheryl. Yes, Sheryl in Texas. I apologize. Sheryl.
Hi. Thank you so much. My family is on the road of great health, and we highly appreciate it.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
I am experiencing hot flashes.
Okay.
And also, they start at the top of the head, which I'm thinning right there at the crown and the bangs of my hair.
They're connected. Your thinning hair and your hot flashes are both manifestations of an activated emergency response. This is what hot flashes are. Okay? Doctors and endocrinologists and gynecologists will tell you, oh, we don't know what causes hot flashes. We think it's the hypothalamus is overactivated, blah, 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 blah. Hot flashes are nothing more than an activation of the emergency response system. As you know from listening to this program, you got two nervous systems. You got the emergency survival nervous system, and you've got the rest and digest and relaxation nervous system. This is the primal dichotomy, the primal polarity in the body and the primal polarity in life. In the Bible, it says you're either with me or against me. The Course in Miracles says life is all about fear, or the two basic aspects of life are fear and love. Good and bad, night and day, dark and light, whatever you want to look at, however you want to metaphorize it. It's the same basic dichotomy. In the body, this metaphor shows up as rest and digest and relaxation and healing and happiness and love and joy and health, or it shows up as survival and threat and emergency. And guess what hot flashes represent, Sheryl? It's not fun, right? It isn't fun at all, right? It's stress. It's an emergency. It's your body saying, what the heck is going on? Get us out of this situation right away. So what you do with the hot, and by the way, the thinning hair is a sign that the thyroid is starting to slow down. And again, the thyroid will slow down when we're under emergency activation, chronic emergency activation. The thyroid will slow down. So hypothyroidism, like hot flashes, is one of those things that's epidemic, but doctors will tell you, well, we don't know really what causes it, but here's some iodine, it's an iodine deficiency, or here's some Synthroid, we'll give you more thyroid hormones. Same thing. Hypothyroidism is a sign of long-term chronic activation of emergency response system. Same with hot flashes. So calm the body down, Sheryl. How do you do it? Number one, sugar is the most stressful thing. Eating sugar is the most stressful thing we do from a food aspect. So keeping your sugar intake down is very, very important. That means breads and pastas and bagels and fruit juice, etc. Sugar metabolizing nutrients, sugar processing nutrients are also important. Chromium and vanadium. I'd be using the sweeties for hot flashes. I'd be using the B complex, which are extremely important for sugar processing. And B vitamin deficiency can cause hot flashes, by the way. So making sure you're getting enough of the B complex and using the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, of course, is a great way to do that. Magnesium, wonderfully soothing, anti-emergency, activates the parasympathetic, the relaxation nervous system. Sometimes magnesium alone is all you need for hot flashes. 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams a day. Use the OsteoFX from Youngevity. Get on the Healthy Start Pack for sure. If you have any digestive health issues, that can exacerbate hot flashes and the stress response. So make sure you're using your Biolumin Nightly Essence and, of course, staying away from problem foods. Try some progesterone cream. Wonderfully relaxing. If you don't want to deal with progesterone cream, get pregnenolone, 100 milligrams a day. You might want to try GABA and taurine, 100 milligrams or 200 milligrams of GABA every day. Try to take it at bedtime because it's relaxing. And then also taurine can also have a nice calming effect on the body for your hot flashes. There's tons more you could do, but that ought to give you a good start. And thanks so much for your call from Texas, Sheryl. All right, that's all the time we have for today. I'm Pharmacist Ben. Tomorrow we'll continue talking about connective tissue rebuilding. If you have lupus or scleroderma, we're going to be talking about that as well. Have yourselves a wonderful, awesome, spectacular day. We'll talk to you later, folks. Bye for now.